Hi, today we will learn Dutch or Netherlands about sentence with heb or have and ben or zijn, m or r, with ge and then the verb. We use the hebben and ge blah 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 or zijn with ge blah 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 when it happens in the past and we are done with it. We will read about this one more time, even though we already learned about it in the previous videos. Ik, I, jij, je, you, u, also you, for someone you respect, like Mr. President or your professor or your boss, or for formal meeting, formal big meeting in the conference, in the convention, you call you with u, but also for casual, if it's your first time meeting that person, let's say the cashier in the supermarket, you call with u. If it's the first time, if you already know that person, you can call with jij or je for you. But for someone you respect, like let's say the king, Mr. President, you call with u. Hij, he, zij, ze, she, het, it. We, wij, we, jullie, you guys, ze, zij, they. Zij and ze for she, and zij and ze for they, same. How we know if it's for she, how we know if it's for they? It's by the verb that is used after we say the ze or the zij. This line for have, this line is for am. Ik heb, heb is have. For jij, je, u, hebt. For hij, zij, ze, het, heeft. For we, wij, jullie, ze, zij, hebben. Am for ik, ben. For jij, je, u, bent. For hij, zij, ze, het, is. For we, wij, jullie, ze, zij, zijn. Yeah, this is for have, has, have, am, are, is, are. We use hebben or heb or hebt or have, heeft, when there's no movement. It happens in the same surrounding, same situation. That's why I put the sketch here. In the same situation or same surrounding, there's no movement from one point to the other point. You use hebben, and then you ge, and then the word, the verb, you use t when the verb is ended with letter S or letter F or letter T or K or T or CH or P. If the verb is ended with letter this one, you add the T at the end of the verb. So, ge, verb, and T. But if the verb is ended with the letter, another letter, not here, you put the at the end to make this ge word. Yeah, we learn soft ketchup to remember as FT, K, T, CH, and P. Yeah. We will put it in the sentence later. And if that situation there's movement, let's say from one point to the other point, there's movement or there's change from one to the other, we put zijn, or we put the bent is, and then the ge, and same order. Ik heb, I have gewerkt, worked. Ge, and then werk. We see here, werk is ended with letter K. Letter K here. That's why we put the T at the end. Gewerkt, work. I have worked. And then this one. Zij heeft in. Sorry, I forgot to put something here. In the town, in the garden, gewandeld, walk. She, because we use the heeft here, it means this one is she. She heeft, has, in the town, in the garden, gewandeld, walk. We use heeft because she walked in the garden. Ze zijn, this one is they because we use the ze with zijn. We see here zijn, so this one is they. Ze zijn, they are. Van huis, from house, naar kantoor, to office. Gewandeld, walk. We use same word, gewandeld, walk. But this one we use heeft because in the same surrounding, the movement is there. But we use here, we use zijn because there's movement, there's change from one point to the other point. There's change, there's movement from one to the other. That's why we use the zijn. We use same here, gewandeld. We don't use the ge if the verb is started with be, ge, ver, ont, and her. For example, we can see it here. Beloofd, promised. Verteld, told. Verdwenen, disappeared. Bewogen, moved. Beloofd started with be. We see here it's ended with F. F is here, but we use the because the basic word is from beloven, beloof with V, and V is not in soft ketchup. V, beloof, from beloven, but we don't use the AN or the EN. So beloof with V, but when we have to put with hebben and zijn, we put the D or T, the V itself change into F. So that's why even though it's F, we put D instead of T, because the F here is not the original one. The original one is V. That V changed into F because we use the D. And the D itself, because the original is from V. I hope you understand. And verteld, told, it started with ver. This is easy because L, there's no in the soft ketchup. That's why we put the D. This is regular. And in Dutch, similar with English, we have irregular. That we will learn about it here. This is the irregular one, because this is the regular with T or D. If it's ended with the letter this one, we put the T. If it's ended with the letter in not this one, the other letter, we put D. But there's really lots of words that irregular. And irregular that doesn't have the G is two of them, verdwenen and bewogen. This is ver and be. Yeah. Irregular verbs that we use with hebben or zijn, we see here because it's not ended with T or D. That's why it's irregular, because you have to learn about it. You have to remember about it. Most of words used with hebben, lots of words used with hebben, because it happens in the same circumstance. There's no change or difference. But some words we use the zijn. There's change or there's difference from one place to the other place, or from one situation to the other situation. If there's change, one dot to the other dot, we use zijn, or here. If same circumstance, we use the hebben. We can see from this sentence, same words, but we use heeft and we use zijn. And several words use or work with hebben also work with zijn. We can see here the verbs that are work with hebben and zijn, and so it works for hebben, it works for zijn. Lopen, liep, liepen. It becomes gelopen, walk. So you can use gelopen with hebben. You can use also with zijn. It depends of situation, which one. Varen, voer, voeren, gevaren, sailed. You can use hebben, you can use zijn. It depends on how you sail, from one point to the other point, or just in the same circumstance. Vliegen, vloog, vlogen. Gevlogen, flown. Fly, flew, flown. Gevlogen. You can use hebben or zijn. Zwemmen, zwom, zwommen. Gezwommen. Swam, swim, swam, swam. Swam. This is swim, swimming. You can use hebben or zijn. Yeah, it depends if you're swimming in a pool or swimming from one point to the other point. Rijden, rijden. gereden. Drove, drive, drove, driven. So, in the same circumstance, or you just make this one, you use hebben, or from one point to the other point, you use the zijn. Trekken, trok, trokken, getrokken, pulled. It means pulled, getrokken, if you use hebben. But if you use zijn with getrokken, it means traveled. So for this one, I will just put star because there's different meaning. If you use hebben, it means pulled. But if you use getrokken with zijn, it means traveled. And for these words, the irregular, we use zijn always for zijn, always. So these verbs always work with zijn. Zijn was, waren, geweest. So this geweest always work with zijn, always work with ben. Bent is zijn. It means was or were, because this is are. Worden, word, werden, worden, werd, werden. Geworden, become. Become also works always with zijn, or ben, bent, is. Gaan, ging, gingen. Why I move to this line instead of this line? Let's continue to this one. Komen, kwam, kwamen, gekomen, kam. Always with zijn, this one. Gaan, ging, gingen, gegaan, gone, because this is go, go and gone. Always with this. Beginnen, begon, begonnen, begonnen. Begun, because begin, began, begun, begun. Begonnen. We see here, started with be. There's no ge. It's be. Vergeten, vergaat, vergaten. Vergeten. Forgotten. Because forget, forgot, forgotten. Ver. No. Ge. And most of other words work with hebben. Lots of words, lots of verbs work with hebben. And there's several works with both, with hebben and zijn. And several verbs works with only zijn. But lots of works with hebben, or have, or hebt, or heeft. Zien, zag, zagen. Gezien, gezien. Zien, see, saw, seen. works with hebben. Zeggen, zij, zeiden, gezegd. Said. Say, said. Gezegd. Eten, at, aten, gegeten. Eaten, eat, ate, eaten. It works with hebben. Drinken, drank, dranken, gedronken, drank. Drink, drank, drank. Gedronken works with hebben. Thank you.